Hey there guys, what's going on? It's Gale right here, back on the 5-9 channel. Today we're gonna be doing another review of the DBS manga. Of course, today we had chapter 70 released, and with me, of course, we have Omni. Say hello.
Yo, what's going on, guys?
Of course, today we obviously had the chapter release, and oh my, we finally found out what Granola's been up to. Of course, before we continue, this is going to be containing spoilers for whatever's happened in the manga so far, and of course the latest chapter. So if you haven't read the manga, I implore you to do so if you are caught up to the manga. And if you're not interested in the manga, well, come back once you've read the manga, I suppose. But if you guys are more interested in stuff like this, leave a like, comment down below what are your thoughts on the manga chapter we've just had, and let's dive straight into it. So the wish finally happened, of course, and Granola basically asked to become the greatest warrior in the universe, basically, apart from the gods themselves. Now, this statement in itself is very curious to me because, well, of course, we kind of questioned this last time around as well, whether he was going to be stronger than Beerus. Of course, we knew the power of the dragon would not be as strong as that, probably. It would have been a very shocking statement if they would have made him stronger than Beerus or any of the other gods. But it still brings up the question of, yes, they say, do you wish to become the most powerful being apart from the gods themselves? But we do know Goku and Vegeta are very close to achieving that god level status, basically. So Omni, do you think that this includes Goku and Vegeta as being the most powerful life form, including them?
I think it actually does, because even though they have the ability to utilize God Ki, they're not necessarily classified as gods per se. Yep. They've only really just, honestly, like we said it perfectly in the last chapter to Goku with Ultra Instinct, like he's still at the bottom of the totem pole.
Yes,
like,
I agree,
yeah. So like, if Goku's only at the bottom of the totem pole and Vegeta's just starting to learn some stuff from Beerus, I think they're still counted in that strongest in the universe aside from the gods. I think gods are going to be finally sort of classified in their own separate category in a weird, in this, at least in this arc.
No, yeah, of course. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to say the least. I mean, as you said, you know, even I have to agree with you on that. Of course, this is just a question that's obviously put out there, but it is definitely seeming to be the case that Granola is by far probably going to be the strongest being at the very moment. Of course, there is some stuff we will be discussing in a second that it makes it very conditional, of course.
Yes.
But it also brings up the question, if Granola does face Goku and Vegeta, which we know it's going to happen inevitably, that's what they've been setting up these last couple of chapters for, including this chapter. What do you think they'll do? Do you think they'll revert back to the usual trope of fusion, maybe? Or do you think it's just gonna be the tag team and, you know, praise be, good luck, hopefully he doesn't kill us kind of thing? Or, you know, we'll try and use the power of, you know, talking, and you know, the talk no jutsu from Naruto basically comes into Dragon Ball and they use it on him. So what do you think? Do you think they'll have to fall into a trope of using fusion to beat him, or do you think they'll manage to convince him otherwise?
I don't think they're gonna. I would love, as much as anyone would love to see the, you know, fusion again. We all love the fusions. We know we love to see them when they pop up. I honestly don't think we'll see fusions this time. I think they'll fight. And again, like I mentioned in our review last month, it's like this arc's very Sins of the Father, and I wouldn't be shocked if Talk No Jutsu does make its way in here. Like, maybe he doesn't get through to, because Granola seems to be very stubborn, like super stubborn. So I think like they're gonna try to talk it out. He's gonna try to, you know, argue like, oh, even though it's your father's, not your guys' fault, you guys still, you know, sort of like how Beerus told Vegeta, you carry the burden of the past and you need to drop it. Yep, I agree. Like that the undertone still here within this chapter this week is very Sins of the Past, and it's really teaching. I don't think it's gonna just teach Goku and Vegeta how to move on, but I think it's gonna. I don't think Granola is gonna die in the arc. I think he's gonna learn to move on.
I mean, well, it depends on how long he doesn't die.
Well, yeah, oh yeah.
We'll come on to that. We'll come on to that in a second. Of course, we'll come on to the sins of the past in a bit as well, because I want to refer to something towards the end of the chapter that occurs and the sayings that happen. I mean, it could be the translation, or it could just be how it is translated from Japanese to English as well, and it's actually that. But we'll move on to the next panel that we want to discuss, and that is, of course, something, again, carrying forward from the last chapter to this chapter, and that's Vegeta learning, obviously, the power of destruction. Obviously, Beerus's signature Hakai. We see him using it very loosely, of course, on a very, very small pebble. It's a start, as I've always said. I mean, like I say, you know, Vegeta, for me, again, this is the biggest problem with Vegeta for me, is like, they set him up for some grandeur. You know, we've seen Super Vegeta, we've seen the Spirit Fission technique in the last arc, we've seen SSBE and so on and so forth, to only for him to usually, you know, pointing the thumb at himself and then losing. It's the common trope of Vegeta again, you know, it's the same thing that happens to him again and again. But of course, this is going to be very interesting to see if he actually succeeds in this, and this is going to be a very good comparison, because we don't exactly know still. Like, this was a question we raised in the last chapter as well, is like, why are the gods learning, or why do the gods attempt to learn Ultra Instinct, when clearly, if Beerus is saying the power of the god of destructions is on a similar level, if not lower level, maybe you could argue.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting to see where exactly this pits Vegeta against Goku in his Ultra Instinct form, especially with his power. Because this is going to be basically like God of Destruction Vegeta mode, effectively. Basically taking Toko's form to Vegeta. What do you think about him getting started with the power of destruction? And do you think we'll even see a form for Vegeta in terms of like the extremely oversized Topo kind of, you know,
so with like the purple aura and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Do you think we'll get anything for Vegeta like that? Maybe
we'll get something. I don't know if it'll be this arc, or if it is, it'll be near the end of this arc, whenever, you know, that ends up being at this point.
Yep.
But I honestly feel like it's gonna be more of the key aspects, or like. Like just destroying things, being able to. I think it's just gonna be more of a like power boost than a actual transformation. Yeah. And if it's a power boost, I think it'll put him sort of close to the level of Ultra Instinct Goku. That way, you know, he's not, because I still feel like right now he's a little bit behind Goku because Goku has UI.
Yep.
But
especially now that Goku can also control the UI as well.
Yes, exactly. And so I definitely feel like it's gonna be a power boost. If we get a form with it, cool, but I honestly would be okay with it being him in his blue form, just having the power of destruction.
That would be dope as well, because we do know Goku very loosely tried using the Hakai power in the Merge Zamasu arc, right? So it is not impossible for him to maintain that power, or use the power of the power of destruction in Super Saiyan Blue form, right? But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this. I do also like I think I mentioned this in the last chapter review as well, and I'll still maintain it. And I'm liking this kind of like split route they've given Goku and Vegeta. For a time, we've seen Goku learn one transformation, Vegeta learns it as well. Gohan learned Super Saiyan 2, Vegeta learns it as well. Super Saiyan 4, obviously in GT, then Vegeta learned it. Same thing with God, Blue.
It's learned Super Saiyan 4.
learned this very loosely. It's just
he got laser beamed to Super Saiyan 4.
He got laser beamed. Yes, he got Blots waved. But it's good to see them finally taking a split route, giving Vegeta something different. Because even the Super Vegeta route was technically, Goku knew about it and he said like, yeah, I know this is powerful, but it's so slow, kind of thing. Like, and Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta was the first step I liked. As much as I hate Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, Evolution Vegeta, compared to like his other transformations like Super Vegeta and Majin Vegeta, it still at least showed like, okay, there's a difference in direction between the two, right?
Yeah. I mean, when I saw Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta, I knew exactly what it was designed for. It was designed to go coincide, not with UI per se, but it was meant to actually coincide with the Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken of Goku.
Yep.
Like that was what it was designed for.
Yep. And it's good to see at least there was something going on here as well with UI versus power of destruction. So that's going to be very, very cool to see as well. And of course, we'll see how that develops as well. Like we said, we don't know how it's going to end. Purple Aura, maybe not. Just power of destruction alone with the key. We'll have to wait and see. The next thing we want to talk about is, of course, Granola then goes over to the heaters. Of course, these pseudo Bojack group lookalikes, basically, like I like to call them. And you guys may have seen them in the last chapter, of course, and the previous chapter before that as well. And Granola makes light work of them. It's as simple as that. It was a mollywhopping, effectively.
Yeah,
and
they didn't even stand a chance.
There was not even a chance. And the leader of the heaters effectively said, Elec, that is, said, I know you've been getting stronger, but there's no way you became this strong so quickly. And he says he uses the Dragon Balls on planet Cerealian, I think, planet Cereal. I'm just gonna call it cereal. Yeah, bowl of cereal. On bowl of cereal, he used the Dragon Balls, and there was a specific condition. And this is where we say if he dies, because the condition that the dragon gave him, instead of his 150 remaining years, he now only has 3 years to live. And to Granola, that's 3 years to kill Frieza. Now, this is, for me personally, very interesting. Like, the condition is... I'm not gonna lie. When you're becoming the strongest person in the universe, 3 years to live, and especially because you have the motivation to kill somebody, I must admit, 3 years is a very, very generous condition, I must admit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly, for me, when I actually read this, like, it was... So, I was really worried the dragon was going to be like just like Shenron or Purunga, where it's beyond their power. This one here shows like, oh, it's not beyond your power, it's just going to come with a cost. So, like, it makes me wonder, did Shenron and Purunga actually have this ability? They maybe are a little bit more morally, one-sided than this one is? Like, yay or nay on that, but...
Possibly.
The thought that this is possible. Basically, you can condense all your latent power of your entire life into a singular point, but it cuts your lifespan. Like, that was a really cool way to make that wish happen.
Yeah. And it's gonna be very interesting to see if he does indeed survive, say, the fights against Goku and Vegeta and Frieza, of course. And of course, they managed to convince him to, come over to the good side, talk no jutsu his way through again, or whatever it may be. I wonder how they're gonna spend his last 2 years. Is he just gonna exist, or is he gonna come back for like a final threat versus, or is there gonna be a bigger threat than this? We don't even know yet. That he may be like, all right, I'm gonna use the power given in or invested into me by this dragon and just sacrifice myself, kind of thing, right?
I do want to mention one thing that actually caught my attention, and it was a thing that I was talking about in my Discord with a few people, because I have a spoiler chat where we were talking about it. Something caught 3 years is very specific, by the way. Very, very specific. The age we're in, if I remember right, is 3 years from the end of Z.
I know. I just realized that now. The moment you said 3 years is very specific, I was like, yeah, that is true. Because this is a very intense discussion that I know people have. Is people still think Super is, I think, like... Some people think Super is only happening 6 months after Z, which is a complete joke. That's not the case. I say 6 months after Z, 6 months after the defeat of Kid Buu, which is completely false. That's not true.
We've had I wouldn't say time skips, but time has progressed.
Yes, a lot of time has progressed. People forget that a lot of time has progressed. We are 7 years into the gap between Z and Super, right? Give or take. I could be a bit off there, but 7 years basically. And so 3 years.
We've never been great with times in Dragon Ball.
Yeah, Dragon Ball, and especially between Z and the end of Z and Super's placement, it's been very, very confusing and convoluted because we don't know exactly how much time has gone by. I mean, have we ever with Fusion and Potara? It's always been the case as well. But time has always been very, very questionable in Z and Dragon Ball as a whole. But I do agree that is very true. I'm interested to see if that'll affect, and if it is going to be 3 years, I do wonder. Again, this brings me back to the whole point of, they have to retcon the end of Z at this point, I feel.
Well, I mean, it's either they have to retcon the end of Z, or this will take us to the end of Z, and then we go into uncharted territory. Like, technically GT doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, I mean, uncharted territory, but I feel like uncharted territory, but like even the end of Z, I mean, I guess there wasn't that much shown in the end of Z to prove that God Key existed, even in the originals, but it would still feel extremely odd that all of this is there, you know. Well, I mean, Trunks and Goten are still not tall enough, you know, and all that jazz. It just feels very, very odd that, you know, we're going to be experiencing the end of Z when none of these characters are still fleshed out to the point of, like, what we saw them at the end of Z, right?
Yeah. I definitely think it's going to be Raikon. Like, it's just one of those things, like, the end of Z was... Honestly, they had to put it there for an ending. I don't think they... And then, you know, GT happened and existed. And then all of a sudden, Super came around for our enjoyment. And it's just one of those things, like, I think they can easily retcon the end of Z to fit this storyline a lot better than they could trying to, like, have it fit in, you know? Like, if they did the end of Z like the end of Z was, yeah, it wouldn't make sense. So they're gonna have to. And then I think, I trust Toritaro and Toriyama. They'll find a way to make it work. Now,
I mean, we'll have to see.
How it goes, we'll have to find out.
We'll have to see. And then, of course, after that, you know, obviously, the heaters are like, well, are you serious? You literally wasted your entire life just to kill Frieza out of all things. Are you mental? And then the heaters have a discussion between themselves, you know, the whole plan, and they're like, yeah, we can help Granola, but if Granola beats Frieza, well, that's his throne. He's gonna take over from Frieza, whereas we should be the ones doing it. And then they decide, or Elec, the leader of the heaters, decides we'll use the Saiyans against Granola to kill him instead. And even though Granola did wish for being the strongest warrior in the universe, Elec effectively says, well, he's facing two Saiyans who have defeated Moro, and the power of them combined versus Granola is obviously Granola will not be able to match up to it. So that's something that I'm curious on. Again, this is the whole thing. Again, they're referring to the pair of Goku and Vegeta. Okay, obviously we discussed the whole fusion trope. Do you think Goku and Vegeta together against Granola win or loss?
I think draw. I honestly feel like it could be a draw. Like, maybe, I mean, because there's one thing, like, we've seen Goku and Vegeta fight side by side, and, you know, do pretty well against opponents, but, you know, they're still very prideful. Like, they both fight with their own style, so sometimes, you know, they kind of get in each other's way.
Yep.
So it's one of those things, like, I still feel like that would end up in a draw, and then I just don't know whether or not Granola is going to accept that or not. Because, you know, he made that wish. He feels like he should be the strongest, you know. Why am I fighting to a draw against two Saiyans, you know?
Out of all things, especially because even the heaters say, like, Granola's also got a grudge against the Saiyans as well. So, you know, it's he's not going to take that very easily out of all things, right? So, it's going to be very interesting to say the least. And another thing before we wrap up on one single point, because of the sins of the past thing we discussed, right?
Yes.
We'll come on to that in a second. But the final point I want to make on the whole Granola versus the Saiyans, if Granola does face Frieza, will we see Frieza die yet again? What is this, fourth time, fifth time? I swear we've seen him die 4 times at this point.
So, what's here? Frieza Saga, well, no, he didn't die on the Frieza Saga.
Yeah, no, technically he didn't die. Yeah.
So it was Mecha Frieza. He came
okay,
back.
4th loss, I assume. This is the 4th loss, I think.
That would be his 4th loss,
time
but I think that would actually be his official 2nd death.
Yeah, it'll be his official 2nd death. God, Frieza... Bro, I swear Frieza, for being the big Mac Daddy of villains, arguably, for a lot of people...
Really knows how to take an L.
he can't stop taking L's, man. It's just an absolute feels bad. But yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see if Granola actually does face Frieza, because of course the whole thing is Granola, Frieza, that's his priority. Frieza's his main priority, the Saiyans come after. But
now here's a quick one.
Yeah.
Do the Saiyans save Frieza?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, I genuinely believe at this point,
Frieza's
Frieza,
gonna
yes,
hate that.
while I genuinely feel Frieza, while he's strong, I mean, Goku and Vegeta have far and beyond surpassed him. Like, at this point, it's not even a question. So, I think for Frieza's sake, unless he manages to find a platinum form or something
Platinum
ridiculous like
Frieza!
but unless he manages to find a platinum Frieza or he generates a brother in cooler somehow and retcons that and makes a new one, makes a new brother out of somewhere, but something like that happens, I doubt Frieza's got anything to stand against Goku and Vegeta, and Goku and Vegeta know that, and they'd rather keep Frieza around rather than the unknown in Granola. And obviously they do know Granola's got a pass with Frieza, so it must have been something Frieza did when he was originally again, like I said, the Mac Daddy of the universe at the time. But I think they'll kind of save him. I think they'll save him. I don't see a reason why they wouldn't at this point.
It's gonna hurt Frieza's pride big time now.
Oh yeah, I mean, his whole lifespan since he met Goku has been hit with pride every single time. His pride's been hit. I swear, it's been that way since he met Goku originally on Planet Namek. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, let's go down to the sins of the past before we wrap up the video. This last panel that obviously has come up, the whole it basically says at last fate will bring these three together. I'm getting heavy Broly vibes, man. I swear they've literally
110%.
Like it started off with okay, Frieza. Then it's like okay, Frieza, annoyed Granola. Then was like, we assume the great ape that destroyed Granola's house and his family and whatnot. We assume that's Bardock. Instead of King Vegeta, it's Bardock in this situation as the father that's affected the quote-unquote villain of the antagonist of the arc. And now we're coming on to this where it's like, oh, fate will bring these three together. I swear the trailer said the exact same line when I think it was the second movie trailer. Exact same line. So I'm okay with, some repetition is fine, but again, this is the same problem I had from the Mora arc that I hope doesn't continue into this, and that's stop copying previous arcs, please. I don't mind a little bit of here and there, things like that, but stuff like this can be noticeable, which is the biggest problem for me personally. I don't know about you, Omni. What do you think?
No, I agree with you. Like, that was the one thing that sort of took me off from the... Like, I think the Mora arc was actually very solid. There's a lot of people that have different opinions of that arc, but I thought it was pretty solid. But, I mean, like you said, it's one of those things, the similarities are really hard to, ignore.
Yeah.
But, this one here, the more I looked at it and once you brought it up again, I was just like, yeah, this is literally Dragon Ball Super Broly, but with Goku's dad being the issue, not Vegeta's dad. And
Granola obviously being Broly's position effectively.
Which technically sort of makes sense in the weird way, because technically in the manga, even though they confirmed the Broly events happened, it never actually happened.
Yeah, that is true. That is very, very true. It's going to be very interesting to see if maybe Broly makes an appearance in this arc as well, maybe as a third party, maybe. Who knows?
I would love to see Broly finally make his way into the manga.
That would be amazing, yeah. That'd be amazing. I mean, at least this time around, even though Granola hates Goku's dad, at least it's not for Goku crying. Let's be real.
Oh yeah.
Slight dig at Z Broly, but I love Z Broly, so it's okay. All right. Let us know down in the comments what do you all think of this chapter. Of course, this is our opinions, of course. So don't hate us, please. Thank you. No, but on a real though, hopefully we do get to see more. Of course, this is again, like I said, we're still in the early days. They haven't even met each other yet, right? So there's still a long way to go. I think we'll probably have like at least one or two early encounters first, and then we'll probably get a final encounter down the line. All that jazz is still yet to happen. So we'll see what happens. Omni, any final thoughts on this chapter before we wrap up?
No, all I'm gonna say is, like I said, it's one of those things, like we said earlier, I just don't want it to copy Broly too much. But it's nice to have the little parallels, but I'm excited to see, because it's saying that we're gonna see them meet for the first time next month, so I want to see what that whole encounter is gonna be.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. The next chapter hits on April 20th. We'll be back then for another review. Of course, it's been Gale Ride and Omni Toast. We'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. Leave a like and subscribe. And see y'all next time. Take care, everybody.
Laters.